So thank you to all the attendees who have been participating today. We really appreciate your kind time. We have Miss Katie from Tacoma Community College who will be talking to us on the Admissions 101 workshop series by Knowledge at KPT on the session topic, Don't Overpay for US Higher Education. I know a lot of you during our email marketing that has gone out have mentioned an interest in community colleges. So thank you for joining for this session. And I'm sure we'll get to learn a lot from Miss Katie, not only about her community college, but also about why community college offers such a great differentiation and such an advantage to Indian students, especially at this time. So before I begin, I just wanted to kindly run a poll and you'll see it. It's always helpful to see what's going on. If y'all can answer, the students, whoever are interested in answering, have you heard of Tacoma Community College? It really helps, to get some answers in. So let's just see what what people have to say. We have about 9 attendees, but let's see how many responses we get. Okay, so quite a few have heard. I think it's maybe from the marketing that we may have done and from the from the emails that have gone out. So thank you for doing some research. And without further ado, I think I'm going to give the stage and the mic to Miss Katie. I'm very excited to speak today. So thank you, Miss Katie. If you can kindly start your presentation with a brief introduction about yourself, what you do, and then of course about the session topic. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to put myself on mute.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Van Wyk, and I oversee global outreach and international admissions at Tacoma Community College. And so I'll spend time talking about Tacoma, using that as an example in my presentation. But my focus for the beginning of this is really about money, how to gain a US education without completely breaking the bank, without spending all of the money that you have. Coming to the US can be expensive, but there are also ways to really save on those costs. And so I'm excited to talk to you about this today and answer your questions. So let's get started. So my session will be about don't overpay for US higher education. So just to start, I am only talking about a bachelor's degree education. So if you are considering going to college or university in India before and possibly coming to the United States at the master and PhD level, this information will be very different for students at master's or PhD. The bachelor's degree level is really very unique in how students pay for it, in that most students do pay out of pocket. There aren't as many like graduate assistantships or jobs that support students through it. So this is really bachelor degree only for anyone who is finishing high school and thinking, yeah, I think I'd like to go to the United States in the next year or so in order to do my undergraduate education. So when it comes to coming to the United States, first thing to recognize is, where does your money go? So if you are a student and you're coming to the US to enroll in your bachelor's degree, about 60% of the money that you're going to spend is going to go directly to tuition and fees. So that's your classes, those are course fees, perhaps campus fees, but it's related directly to the academics. So 60%, huge percentage, and it means that choosing different institutional types or finding scholarships or to reduce the tuition category is very important. Next is housing and meals, and that makes up about 30%. So often students ask, well, if I get a full scholarship, I won't have any expenses, right? And that's not the reality, because housing, to live, rent an apartment, to eat, all of that still costs money. So it's important to recognize that about 30% of your budget needs to go into where you live and sustaining yourself through your studies. And then there's about 10% that goes to other. Other will be things like international health insurance, that you just can't avoid. Perhaps there's an international fee at your institution. And so it's a category that you'll have to likely pay for, and you'll have a hard time reducing that because each campus will have some other expenses. So let's start diving into tuition and fees specifically. How do we pay less for U.S. higher education? So I'm going to talk about 4 different institutional types. First is I work for Tacoma Community College. Community college offers the exact same classes that a university does, but they only offer year 1 and 2. So coming to Tacoma Community College, you'll take the same classes that you would going to a university. But the difference is that our tuition is much cheaper. So Tacoma Community College charges $9,600 per year in tuition. This is full price, no scholarship tuition. Similarly, I went to the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. That's my alma mater. It is a small liberal arts school in the state of Wisconsin, and their international tuition per year is $18,000, full price for a student. Perhaps you've considered a large university, like a state school. My example here is the University of Oregon. Their annual tuition and fees for an international student is $37,000. So you can see the classes you would take in your first year at any of these campuses would be the same, but your price is starting to change drastically. And last would be a private institution such as Boston University. They charge $57,000 per year for international student tuition. So just looking at a community college versus perhaps a private university, you can see that what a student pays per year changes just by institutional type. And this is paying full price. So you may be thinking, I have really strong grades, I have a great SAT, I will get a scholarship. And so I want to look at these 4 schools based on what you would pay with a traditional scholarship. So Tacoma, we want to keep our costs low for everyone, so we do not have scholarships. The price per year stays at $9,600 because it's just affordable. The University of Wisconsin-La Crosse has $2,000 scholarships for international students, bringing tuition down to $16,000 per year. So better, but you can still see there is almost $7,000 difference between those 2 institutional types. Third, the University of Oregon has scholarships ranging from $7,000 to $15,000, and it could bring your average cost down to $27,000. So again, still better than the previous slide, but you can see institutional type still makes a difference in tuition fees. And last, Boston University has a $25,000 presidential scholarship, and it brings tuition to $32,000. So if you apply to an institution in the United States and you receive a scholarship, that is fantastic, and it definitely is going to help reduce your cost. But you should still compare the overall cost to what you might pay at a community college or a smaller institution. Because as you can see, even without a scholarship, coming to Tacoma Community College is your most affordable pathway. Let's look at this in a different way. So I majored in mathematics as an undergraduate student, so I love numbers. So there's a lot of numbers on these slides, and I hope that is helpful to give you an idea how much money you can save and how different these institutional types matter in your overall cost. So if you come to the United States for a bachelor's degree, you're going to spend about 4 years studying. So if you start at Tacoma Community College, we offer the first 2 years of a bachelor's degree. So after 2 years, you have to transfer to another institution. In this case, I'm using the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse as an example. If you start at Tacoma and then go to La Crosse, your bachelor's degree is from Wisconsin La Crosse. It is not from Tacoma Community College. We are just a stepping stone to get you to that four-year degree. And so 2 years at Tacoma, followed by 2 years at Wisconsin La Crosse. Full tuition would be $55,000. And if you get that scholarship I mentioned, you'd pay about $51,000 for a four-year degree. So not bad. If comparatively you went directly to Wisconsin La Crosse and paid full tuition, you'd pay about $72,000 or $64,000 with a scholarship. Now remember, these two people, say person A went to Tacoma and then La Crosse, and person B went directly to La Crosse, they received the exact same bachelor's degree. But if they pay full tuition, there is almost $17,000 difference in how much they paid for it. Same degree, just a different price. Similarly, if you want your degree from a large state school, like the University of Oregon, the University of Arizona, the University of Washington, Seattle is on our state, 2 years at Tacoma, followed by 2 years at Oregon. Full tuition could be up to $93,000, and with a scholarship, you're looking at about $73,000. So you can see now we're comparing 4 years at a small public institution to a 2+2 with scholarship is a very similar price. If you spent 2 years at Tacoma followed by Boston University, full tuition is around $133,000, and with a scholarship, you're bringing it down to about $83,000. And finally, we have going directly to the University of Oregon or directly to Boston U, ranging from $108,000 with a scholarship to $228,000 without. So the moral of the story is that there is a huge price difference between a 2+2 and a small institution to a private university in, say, a large city. This ranges from $51,000 all the way up to $228,000. So you have to ask yourself, what is my budget? What is my goal? If your goal is to get a degree from Boston U, well, there are many different ways to do that and different prices that it would cost you and your family. If you're thinking, we have this money, we can afford this, that's fantastic. Perhaps think about other things you might want or need in the United States. Perhaps you want to buy a car. Saving money on tuition can be repurposed for purchasing a vehicle. So you have to ask yourself what your goals are. And if you plan to continue on to a master's degree, do you want to invest all of your money in that bachelor's education, or do you want to perhaps save some money at this level to reinvest in a master's or a PhD? Okay, so 60% is tuition. The next percentage is housing. We just had a question, so I'll quickly answer it. It says, do tuition costs remain the same across all of our programs? And at Tacoma Community College, the answer is yes. Whether you study business or engineering or computer science, your cost of attendance is the same. So the tuition is the same for all students.
And I think that's a great, sorry to add in, but I think that's a great point you've made because it really helps students. So that's a great advantage. So thanks for sharing that, Katie.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so 60% goes towards tuition. And we just talked about institutional type making a difference, as well as scholarships, as well as the 2+2, community college, followed by university. Next is housing. Students don't ask a lot of questions always about housing and how it makes a difference in their costs, but there are many different types of housing that you can live in as a university student in the United States. So most traditionally is a residence hall where you actually live on campus. It could be apartment style, it could be dorm style where you share a small space. There could be a bathroom for your apartment. There could be a bathroom down the hall for everyone. It can really range greatly, but it often means living on campus at the institution. Second is renting. Many students will choose to rent an apartment nearby to live with friends, to get off campus, separate themselves from school a little bit. And that's another popular housing choice for students. And then last is homestay. And homestay is where you actually live with a local family and they include your meals as part of your cost. So to give you an idea, Tacoma Community College, we do not have residence halls. Part of that is because there are so many apartments around campus for students to rent, but more importantly, it's because our homestay program is so affordable. It costs about half as much to live with a family than to rent an apartment on your own. So homestay is a huge cost saving compared to renting. I looked up some of the other institutional examples I used. At the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, while the residence halls are great and they're on campus, they cost quite a bit more than renting an apartment in the city. So actually moving off campus with friends will save you a lot of money compared to living on campus in a residence hall. At the University of Oregon in Eugene, their residence hall and their apartments actually cost the same. So it makes no difference whether you live on campus or you rent an apartment. There's a very similar cost. So when you're looking into a college or a university, be sure to look at the different types of housing they have and how much difference they cost. You may find that living with a family is way more affordable than living on campus or renting an apartment. And so it's an important question to ask when you're doing your research. Just as important as style is location. Many of you, if you're coming to the United States, you've heard of big cities. You've heard of New York, Los Angeles, maybe Houston. And so you want to go to these big cities. But the United States also has a lot of smaller cities. It has a lot of rural area. And the city and the location makes a big difference when it comes to how much you'll pay. And so this slide is more numbers, and it's to show you the average cost of an apartment in different cities across the United States. So I'm going to start in Washington. This beautiful photo is of Seattle. Seattle is the largest city in the state of Washington in the Northwest United States. And Seattle, Tacoma are kind of like sister cities. They sit right next to each other, but Seattle has a population of just over 1 million people, and Tacoma has a population of 250,000. So it's about a quarter of the size, but we are located less than 45 minutes from one another. So very close, and yet the cost for an apartment is very different. So Tacoma, you would pay about $1,300 a month in rent for a 1-bedroom apartment on your own. And that exact same apartment in Seattle would cost you $2,200. So 2 cities, less than an hour from each other, and you're looking at a $900 per month, which is $10,800 per year difference in cost. I mentioned Boston University as an example. And so let's say we go to Massachusetts. Now we're on the East Coast, and we compare Boston and Worcester. These are also cities 1 hour from each other with similar populations to Tacoma and Seattle. Average rent prices in Worcester are $1,400 per month. So a little bit more than Tacoma, but similar. And Boston is $3,400, so significantly more expensive. Again, 1 hour apart, very different cost in housing. And then last, maybe pick a state you haven't heard of or you don't know a lot about. I am from the state of Wisconsin, and Wisconsin has the capital city of Madison. It's where the University of Wisconsin is located. And I use the example of Wisconsin-La Crosse. These two cities are about 2 hours apart, and they are significantly smaller than all of the other cities I mentioned. And that size matters in cost. So La Crosse average rent is $750 per month, and Madison is $1,200. So as your city gets smaller, as it maybe moves to a different state that's not on the coast, you'll see that pricing makes a big difference. But you also have to look into what are the advantages of these locations. If you want to work in the tech industry, being close to Seattle or San Francisco is a big advantage to getting a job, but it comes at a cost. And so you have to weigh those options of, do I go to a smaller city? How will I connect to the companies where I want to work if I make that decision? Okay, so beyond spending money, there's also the opportunity to earn money. And so it's important to recognize that if your budget is tight, looking for ways to possibly make money while studying is also a great idea. So the first is on-campus employment. If you are a F1 student in the United States, you can work on the campus where you study. So at Tacoma Community College, we have jobs in the tutoring center, in the library, in the Office of Student Engagement, different opportunities on campus. And you can get a job earning money as an on-campus employee, up to 20 hours per week. In the state of Washington, minimum wage is about 12 to 15 US dollars per hour. So you actually make a decent amount of money. Second is taking advantage of your summer break. So many students take summer and they travel, but that's also a chance to work more hours or to return home and get a job. Summer break can be a few months, and you are eligible to work more than 20 hours per week on campus when you're on summer break. Last is OPT. OPT stands for Optional Practical Training, and it is an opportunity for you to get a job off campus in your field when you graduate at every degree level. So this is a big advantage of a community college, is that if you come to Tacoma Community College, when you graduate, you receive a degree. It's called an associate. You're actually eligible for a year of OPT at the associate level. So graduating, spending that year working, you can earn money, you gain work experience, and then you continue on to university. It does delay your studies, but it gives you really critical work experience. When you finish your bachelor's degree, you're eligible for another 1 to 3 years depending on your area of study. So if you're thinking of a STEM field, that is a 3-year OPT opportunity. And with associate level OPT, that's possibly 4 years of work experience in the United States. Taking advantage of that is a way to earn money, to gain experience, and to make yourself more marketable when applying for jobs. Okay, so in summary, the first is set your budget. Keep in mind that costs range greatly, and set up how much are you able to afford per year and what does that look like for you and your family. Second is seek ways to save. Community college is a super easy way to save money because you do not have to do anything besides choose to begin your studies on our campus. Look at different locations and consider scholarship opportunities to save money. Third is decide what matters to you most. Is the institution most important? Is it the program of study? If you're going to be an aeronautical engineer, you need to pick a school that has that program. So what is most important to you? Or is it location? If your dream is to work for Microsoft in Seattle, then starting your degree near Seattle might be really important for you. So consider those, what are your priorities? I just got another question about how far is Tacoma from Seattle? We're about 45 minutes south, so very close. It's a very easy drive or bus ride. Okay, so I'm not sure if I should answer more questions or if I should dive right into who we are as Tacoma Community College.
I think what we could do is dive into Tacoma. It's been really interesting to learn about what you had to share. So I think if you can, segue into Tacoma Community College, and then we can have a cumulative Q&A session, like say of about 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the end of it. I think that'll be helpful. Would you be okay with that?
That sounds perfect. So I will jump right in, and if a question comes up that is relevant, I will answer it right away. Okay, so who are we? So as I mentioned, Tacoma is located in the Northwest United States in the state of Washington. We are a 2-year community college, so students only spend 2 years on our campus and then they continue on to bigger and better things. We are public, so we're partially state funded, and there are about 250,000 people who live in the city of Tacoma. Our campus is actually a little bit smaller, about 4,000 full-time students, about 250 international, and we have a very small South Asian population. So you will not be coming to campus and finding hundreds and hundreds of fellow students from India. Most of our populations are small and they represent about 30 different countries. So it's a little bit different experience than like a larger institution. Our location is really fantastic though. We are 45 minutes south of Seattle, so very easy to go there to explore the city, but also to be removed from those expensive costs. We're only 30 minutes from the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, so you can easily get around the United States if you want to travel or return home. It is a long flight to India. I've done it before, but it's very easy that we have such a large international airport close to Tacoma. The climate is very neutral. It does rain, but we do not get snow in the city. Our temperature is fairly neutral year round, and we have a lot of mountains and beautiful trees and national parks. So lots of fresh air, lots of nature, a chance to really get out and see some of the beauty of the United States. As mentioned before, I just want to reiterate what we offer. So if you're interested in a bachelor's degree, a community college like Tacoma is a great starting point. You spend only 2 years with us, you complete an associate degree, and then you transfer to university for year 3 and 4. So you do not do 2 years followed by 4, it is 2 and 2. You would still graduate in 4 years, just as anyone else would going directly to university. You may be thinking, okay, how does this work? How do I transfer to university? So there are 2 different ways you do that. You either pick a guaranteed partner of our institution, like the University of Washington, Tacoma, Arizona State. We have agreements with these schools that guarantee your admission when you transfer at year 3. Or you tell us where you want to go and we help you apply. So this year we have students going to UCLA, to Georgia Tech, to Embry-Riddle. We would help you apply to that university. It's not guaranteed, but your chances of getting in as a transfer student are often higher than as a freshman or first-year student in year 1. Okay, areas of study. So the most popular area of study is business. A business degree can take you into marketing, into management, into finance, accounting. There's so many options with business. And so it's a great starting associate degree program for you if you're not sure which area of business you want to be in. So courses include calculus, economics, accounting, business law for 2 years, and then guaranteed partners include the University of Washington, Tacoma and Washington State as very strong business programs. If you want to perhaps work for OPT for a year, we would recommend looking at Amazon, Starbucks, Deloitte, or perhaps the Port of Tacoma for a career. One of our students from Brazil, she just told me that she got OPT at Amazon. She's working there right now during the pandemic. And so, yes, jobs are difficult to find, but they're not impossible. And having that big industry near us is really helpful. Next most popular is engineering and computer science. So these very strong science programs that are based in mathematics. So there's a lot of calculus, diff-EQ, differential equations, physics that are required for engineering. What's nice about Tacoma is that we actually have 9 specializations in engineering. So all students start with the same math core, but then they start to decide what type of engineering they want to do by year 2 already. So let's say you're thinking of doing engineering, but you're not sure if you want to study mechanical engineering or aeronautical engineering. You can start to take all of those classes on our campus, and you can make the decision about which you want to major in when you transfer. And that lets you pick a transfer school that's strong in that area of engineering. So the University of Cincinnati, for example, very good mechanical engineering school. So it's a guaranteed pathway from Tacoma to Cincinnati for mechanical engineering. Gonzaga has a strong electrical engineering program. So again, 2 years at Tacoma, 2 years at Gonzaga for electrical. If you want to take a break in between, perhaps apply for a job. Microsoft is located in Seattle. Boeing is on the south end, so it's actually closer to Tacoma. And many students are interested in game design or video game programming, and there are quite a few companies in Seattle and Tacoma for game design. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, the last area I want to feature, so Tacoma Community College has over 30 areas of study, and a student who wants to get started in any of them can start on our campus, or you can start with a general degree. But the last program that's very popular is healthcare. So we have many applied programs that take a student from community college directly into the workforce. So these include nursing, sonography, respiratory therapy, or radiology. And all of them are based in a strong science background, chemistry, biology, anatomy. If you're interested in pre-med, you would start with a biology degree, and our strongest transfer partners for biology or pre-med include the University of Iowa, Eastern Washington, or Central Washington. Again, guaranteed transfer for a biology degree looking to go into the medical field. Okay, so some benefits of the 2+2 model. The first is that we are on a quarter system. So we're not a semester system. There are 4 quarters per year. Each one lasts 3 months, and you can start anytime. So today is June 4th. If you told me I would really like to take a class this summer, this month, you can. You still have the option to enroll this summer. and begin your classes online. Or you could say, I don't want to travel until next year. Well, perhaps you apply for March intake in spring. You have a lot of flexibility with a quarter system and a community college. You also take less classes at any given time. So if you're going to be taking engineering courses, for example, you only take 2 or 3 per quarter before moving on for the next term. So you don't have to focus on so many classes at one time. I think a lot of you are in high school and you may be taking, 10 to 12 subjects per day. And so that would be a big change coming to a community college where we ask you to focus on just 2 or 3 at one time. You also get a vacation every year. I mentioned this is a great chance to get a job, to earn money, and you can decide when you take your vacation. It can be summer, which is what most people do, but it also could be fall, winter, or spring. You pick the term that you want to take a break. Okay, so in terms of deadlines are very late when it comes to enrolling at a community college. You are not asked to apply a year in advance. You can plan in advance, but you don't have to. So our fall term, for example, starts in mid-September. You have until August to actually submit your application. So a lot more time. And part of that is because we will process admission very quickly. We don't need to see an SAT or an ACT score. Those are not required. And so it does not take us as long to review your admission and admit you to the college. It's much easier and it's much faster. Right now, you may be thinking, oh, I can't arrive in fall. The US Embassy is closed. I can't get a visa. Well, perhaps you start online in the fall and you arrive in the winter or next spring. Again, you only have to wait 3 months for that next term to begin. And the cost is affordable. So I mentioned before, tuition for the year is about $9,600. When you add in fees, insurance, books, all expenses for academic, you're looking at about $12,000 to $13,000, and housing expenses, about $6,000. So the annual cost of attendance for everything that you need is just under $19,000 US dollars. So it's about a third or even half the cost of what you would see at a university. So huge cost savings by starting at a community college. And online classes do cost the same on our campus. You just would not be paying insurance and book expenses or housing. So I've teased a little bit about admission, but one of the biggest benefits of community college is that admission really is easy. So I know I get questions all the time. Do I need an SAT? Do I need to take the TOEFL? How high does my GPA have to be? We do not require those tests. We don't require those standardized tests for admission. Community college is meant to give everyone an opportunity and to give them an opportunity at an affordable cost. So having a strong GPA and a good TOEFL score will definitely help you in your interview and make sure that you're successful in the United States, but it is not required for admission on our campus. All we require is a bank statement showing that you can afford your studies, your transcript from high school, and your passport photocopy. That's it. 3 items, 1 online application. It costs $50 to apply, and we will process admission within 2 days. It's very fast. And that is a huge difference from university, which takes much longer. And we have that, it's a nice advantage. So what is our campus like? So Tacoma's campus is quite large and spacious. There are over 20 buildings, and there is security 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The City Bus Transit Center is located on campus, so students can easily get around the city. They don't need a car, even though many students like to buy one. And across from campus is a plaza of many things, from restaurants to coffee shops. There are apartment buildings, urgent care, bowling, activities. So there's no shortage of things to do. We have a big, beautiful campus, just like any university does in the United States. On our campus, I know I did get a few questions about housing. We really encourage students to live with a local family because it costs less and it gives them an opportunity to get to know Tacoma and really feel a part of our city. So you can do a homestay family with 3 meals per day for $6.75 per month, or you can cook for yourself and live with a family for $5.25 per month. Families are always going to be less than 30 minutes from Tacoma's campus, and you apply in advance and we pair you with a family that best fits you. So this is not required. It is just a housing opportunity on our campus. It's organized by us and it does save you a lot of money and it makes for a smoother entrance into the United States. But you, of course, are welcome to rent an apartment and live, on your own if that is preferred. I think I have just a few more slides. This one is community college like university, and it is yes and no. So we have competitive athletics, just like a university. We have free resources like tutoring, counseling, career center, just like a university. The classes you take on our campus would be the same that you would take at a university in year 1 and 2 of your bachelor's degree. But the biggest differences are that you cannot do your bachelor's degree at Tacoma Community College. You have to transfer after 2 years to continue. It's all we offer, year 1 and 2. The classes are going to be much smaller. So if you might skip a class, your faculty member will know because classes are small. And the faculty do not focus on research. At a community college, they focus only on teaching. So your faculty members may do research on their own, but it is not what they're being paid by the college to do. And that's a huge difference from a university. Okay, so why choose Tacoma specifically? I'm so grateful that many of you are still listening. We are a safe mid-sized city close to a large metro area, which is wonderful. It is beautiful in Tacoma. This is a photo of Mount Rainier National Park. It sits right on the outskirts of the city, and you can see it's a very large, beautiful volcano. The people in Tacoma are very multicultural. It is a city of diversity, which is wonderful and makes our international students feel at home. And at the end of the day, our international population is small. And I think that's special in many ways because it means you are going to integrate with local students and you're not going to kind of create this hub of just students from your own country. So lots of huge advantages to choosing a slightly smaller city, but in a great location like Tacoma. So I think I left us enough time for questions. So there are some questions on the screen and I do want to make sure you all have my contact information as well. This is our Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp number, or my email.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Katie. That was really, really informative. We truly appreciate your time. I hope you can see me. I hope I'm accessible by screen.
Yes.
And I think it's a good time. Maybe we can run a quick poll after the Q&A session. So I think it'll be a good time for us to begin with the questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I will start at the top.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you want to read the question or
You
should
can go
I?
ahead. You can go ahead for the audience, and I'll just put myself on mute and switch my video off, so it'll just be easier for you. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so I did answer some of these, but I'll go through them again. The first is, does tuition costs remain the same across all undergraduate programs? And the answer is yes. Whether you study business or engineering at Tacoma Community College, your cost is the same. Can you please share housing options for first-year students? So at Tacoma Community College, the housing options are a homestay program or renting an apartment. Homestay is organized by our office. So we would help you submit your application and pair you with a family. If you'd like to rent, we have suggestions and can help connect you with fellow students to possibly live with other Tacoma Community College students. How far is Tacoma from Seattle? We're 45 minutes south of Seattle along the water. And so just follow the ocean south of Seattle and you will hit Tacoma, Washington. What type of jobs can students get for on campus? That's a great question. It does differ by institution, but on our campus, the most popular jobs include the tutoring center, so helping students with math, business, writing, tutoring. We have a child care center on campus, so taking care of student and faculty and staff children is a big job. We have an Office of Student Engagement that plans activities and oversees like the clubs and organizations, and they hire student workers every year. Our office has a front desk where we hire students each year, as do many other offices, some more administrative work, and we have an IT department that hires students to help with information technology on campus. So for IB diploma students, your requirements would be the same as anyone else. You'd be looking at submitting your transcript, passport, and bank statement. There's no minimum GPA needed. And perhaps depending on the courses that you've taken, you may be able to waive certain requirements on campus, especially English being one of them. Another question, I'd like to learn more about how to transfer. So transferring is a really important part of the Community College 2+2. Some students come to Tacoma Community College and they already know, I want my degree from this university, and so I'm gonna plan to get there. Say it's UCLA. Every class you take at Tacoma prepares you to apply for UCLA. Other students say, I think I want to study finance, but I'm not sure where I want to transfer. And in that case, our advisors are going to help you take the general finance courses that are needed at most universities in the US. So when you are ready to apply for transfer, you can pick a few of them that might work well with your finance degree. No matter what, you do have to apply to transfer. You have to submit an application. Even if it's a guaranteed transfer. But many times, because you've come to a community college, you do not need things like a TOEFL or an IELTS. Having taken those classes at Tacoma in English will meet all of the English proficiency for your university. So that's very, very common. Occasionally, an institution will still ask you to take a TOEFL at transfer, but that's becoming less and less likely. And if you have to take it, you can take it on our campus. We have a testing center. In terms of guaranteed transfer, the only requirement of those is a GPA. So to give you an example, Washington State University is a transfer partner of ours, and they require a 2.5 GPA. So provided you have that at Tacoma Community College, you are guaranteed admission into Wazoo when you're ready to transfer. And they all work similarly. Arizona State, I believe, is also a 2.5. University of Washington is a 2.7. So they all are outlined on our website, the exact requirements you need in order to meet that guaranteed transfer. For January intake, the application requirements would be an online application, a bank statement showing at least 19,000 US dollars, an academic transcript, and a passport. Those 4 items submitted online, we would process your admission in 2 days, and you have until November to apply for January intake. Now, if you're planning for January, I do recommend doing it earlier, because then we can get you your Form I-20, your admission letter, so that you can plan for your visa interview and arrival in advance. So super easy to apply, just those 3 documents and the online application. Tina asked if you want to stay with other students to help find off-campus accommodation. So we do not place students in off-campus accommodation, but we can connect you to students who may be looking for a roommate. What I do see more often is that a new student arrives and spends their first quarter or the first 3 months living with a family. During those 3 months, they get to know Tacoma, they meet other students, and then they move out after 3 months into their own apartment. That tends to be the easiest way to meet people, to see where you might want to live in the city before making that commitment prior to arrival. What is the process to help with finding a family? Are the families located close to the college? It's a great question. So it is super important to us that a homestay family matches the student that we place with them. So if you love dogs and the outdoors and you're a very picky eater, maybe a vegetarian, let's say, we want to make sure that the family matches that. So it's a good fit. So you're happy, they're happy. And so we spend a lot of time reading your homestay application to match you with the best family in Tacoma. Now, all of our homestay families are located along a bus route, and it will never take more than 30 minutes to get to campus from your house to the college. If a family lives further than that, we would not consider them for your placement, because again, we do not want you to spend all of your time in Tacoma commuting. We want you to be able to go from your home to your school very easily. Some families live close enough to campus that you can walk. It just depends who ends up being the best fit for you. One student mentions, I would like to know more about AP credits. So if you've taken AP courses in high school, those can be transferred in. Perhaps AP Calculus can count towards a math requirement, and there are specific scores that you need for each test in order to count them as credits on our campus. But definitely possible to count AP credits, and that's fantastic for those of you who are doing an AP program. Can you share where your students graduated and transferred to? So this year, many of our students are still receiving their offer letters for the fall. So far, we have students transferring to Georgia Tech, to Northeastern University, to UC San Diego, to the University of Washington, Seattle, and Tacoma. So lots of great schools. Last year, we had 3 students transfer to UCLA. We had 1 student transfer to Yale, which was very exciting. I'm very proud of her. We had students go all over the United States, Wisconsin-Madison, University of Minnesota. So lots of great places. Many students stay in Washington or transfer to California. It tends to be that they remain on the West Coast once they end up over there. Okay, can you review classroom learning experience? So one thing about a community college is that your class is going to be small. So you're really going to get to know your fellow students, you're going to get to know your professor, and while you'll have lectures and ways that you have to sit and listen, there's also a lot of required engagement. So students need to raise their hand, they need to participate. There'll be a lot of group projects, maybe group papers. One of my students was taking calculus last year and all of his tests were group tests. So working with other students to solve the calculus problems. So a lot of interaction with other students, and really important to know that your faculty, you're really going to get to know them, and they can be a great resource for you when you're ready to transfer to help you choose where you might go. This student asked for the application link. Let me send that in just a minute. Do you help with summer internships or do students have to find them on their own? So a student who would be graduating and looking for OPT or a summer placement would work with our Career Center. So the Career Center helps you build your resume, they help you practice your interviewing skills, and they connect you with companies in the area. And so our office doesn't do that, but there is an office on campus that helps to connect you to summer opportunities or just OPT opportunities in general. It says, will I transfer in third year if I don't choose one of your partner universities? Yes, there are thousands of universities in the United States, and we only have agreements with 25 to 30. That does not mean you have to pick one of those. We just can't partner with everyone. So if you really want to go somewhere that's not on our list, we support you through that entire process and help you apply. Absolutely no problem. You just work with our advising team and make sure to let them know where you want to go if it's not one of our partner institutions. It says, can you share the I-20 process and visa success rate? So when you apply online, it's very easy at Tacoma Community College. It's those 3 documents and an online application. Within 2 days, we will put your I-20 and admission packet in the mail, and it will arrive to you within another 5 or so days. You then have everything you need to pay your CVIS fee and schedule an interview with the U.S. Embassy. We do not have a lot of students from India applying for Tacoma Community College. This past year, we have 3 new students, and they were all successful with their visa interview process. It is just super important that you know what a community college is and you have a plan for the future. So if you start at Tacoma and your goal is to go to UW Seattle, that's fantastic. Explain that to the visa officer and how you will both pay for that and what your goals are. So just having a longer term goal is really important for that visa process. I will send the link for the application to everyone. And I think I got through all the questions just in time.
Yes, absolutely. So I think it was really, really helpful. I have 2 things before we, before we end for the day. I think the questions were really helpful. I think were really nice. Good to see a good engaged audience. We had a good number of participants and number of questions. But as an admission officer, my question to you today would be only one before we wrap up for the day. What advice would you give to the high school students and parents who are attending today? Thank you.
Absolutely. I think many high school students are told that they need to do so much and they need to have the best scores. And I want to say that that is fantastic and that is important, but it's not everything. remove some of that pressure and make a decision that is best for you in terms of the location, the institution, the cost, so many things beyond just maybe that prestige or that ranking. Choosing a community college is just a pathway. It is just because it's easy to gain admission does not mean that, you know, we have lesser quality classes or faculty. We're just at that same standard. We just want to make it easier. So for you, I really encourage you to look beyond the rankings, to look beyond the universities that you've heard of and find one that matches your personality and your area of study. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that a community college can be a fantastic way to get started. And our students have gone on to work at really wonderful, I mean, we have students working at Facebook, at Google, at Amazon, and they're doing that starting at a community college. And that's just one of many ways to get started.
Great. Thank you so much, Katie. I'm now just going to run one quick poll, obviously, because I thought it would just be helpful. We always do this,
Absolutely.
towards the end of the session for all panelists, but I'll just kindly launch the poll, and then I'll obviously come online and, come back on, but I'll. So the question for the day is, did you find the session useful? To all the students, we request you to please take some time and participate. Thank you. So I think it's enough. I think we'll wait just for another 5 more seconds before we end this, but I think it's a good time we can end it and I can come back on. Yes, I'm on. Can you see me? I hope you can see me. Great. Thank you so much, Katie, for your kind time, for joining the Knowledge at KPT webinar workshop series. For all the high school students, parents, and guidance counselors who are participating today from the high schools, we really appreciate your time. We know this is a difficult time and there are always so many questions. So please join me in thanking Katie for her time. I know it's very early in the morning out there, so we truly appreciate your support out here.
Absolutely.
And this session, to all students and counselors who are participating today, this session is recorded. A recorded link will be shared with your school, so other students and other guidance counselors and parents can, of course, view the session topic and learn more about lowering the costs in the US, which was the session topic, as well about the fantastic presentation that Ms. Katie has given from Tacoma Community College. So please join me in saying thank you. Thank you so much, Katie, for your kind time. And we look forward to keeping in touch with you. And I'm sure the students will be in touch with you in the future. So thank you once again.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much. I wish you a great day. Take care, stay safe, and we'll be in touch. Thank you once again, Katie.